Again, as I mentioned, the SME.
Well, that move there, of course, is sent to benefit small businesses, SMEs and MSMEs. And speaking of those people, Kenya is set to join the rest of the world in celebrating the International Day of Cooperatives, locally known as Ushirika Day, on the 1st of July 2017 at Uhuru Park. That is this Saturday. The theme of this year's celebration is inclusion, well, to ensure that no one is left behind. This echoes the core principles of voluntary and open membership, democratic control, and economic participation. Ushirika Day is an important event in the calendar of the cooperative movement worldwide. It is marked to reflect on the contributions made by the movement in improving the living standards of communities around businesses, of course, and right across the world. According to the Principal Secretary of State, Department for Cooperatives, Ali Nur Ismail, cooperatives in Kenya are a success which has earned the country #1 ranking in Africa and the 7th best globally. In addition, cooperatives have contributed towards poverty reduction, employment creation, and foreign exchange earnings. Well, that gentleman himself is here in studio, Ali Nur Ismail. He is the PS for Cooperatives. It, of course, is a part of the Ministry of Trade Industrialization. It's a long title right there, sir. But karibu sana.
Asante.
Also, of course, accompanying you is Dolphin Arumo. She is the Director of Cooperatives in Nairobi County.
Yes.
Thank you too for coming. Yes. I think a good place to start for us is to, of course, take stock of where the cooperative movement has gotten Kenyans so far. The fact that indeed, for a lot of people, this has been a bedrock of their existence and for their livelihoods. Do you think we have paid enough attention to our cooperatives over the past few years to enable them, to enable us say that they are actually driving the, well, good living standards for Kenyans and business?
Thank you, Peter.
Yes.
Yes, I think the answer to your question is yes, of course. Mm-hmm. And as you have very clearly defined or explained, cooperatives are a group of people who have come together for the socio-economic benefit of their members. And the key bedrock of cooperatives really is participation by the members and democratic control in the sense that regardless of what shares you have, whether I have 1 share or you have 10 million shares, we exercise that 1 vote as a member. The role of the government in this respect, really, cooperatives being a voluntary association of people, has been to provide that enabling environment for cooperatives to thrive so that the members can actually carry on their cooperative business. So in that respect, from around 1965, shortly after independence, the government of Kenya has actually provided the right legal environment, the policy environment, and the institutional framework to make cooperatives thrive, in this country. Yes. And it's for that reason that actually cooperatives in Kenya are considered #1 in Africa and 7th globally, as you have rightly said. And I think maybe to underpin that support that the government has given the sector, and the way the sector has thrived, is just to give you a bit of very basic statistics. 14 million members, more than 22,000 cooperatives, more than 500,000 jobs directly, about 1.5 million jobs indirectly, assets in excess, especially for financial cooperatives, of more than 800 billion, savings mobilized of more than 600 billion Kenyan shillings, and loans in the region of more than 650 billion to the members. So on the whole, the sector has actually is doing well and has done well, and it continues to impact on people's livelihoods and living standards. And I can tell you for a fact that if you look at a lot of the people in this country, they have been educated through cooperatives. It has impacted on health in terms of nutrition, livelihoods. And you will actually realize that if it's not been coffee cooperatives, it's been tea cooperatives. If it's not tea cooperatives, dairy cooperatives. If it's not dairy cooperatives, fishing cooperatives. And so it is in every sector of this country, financial, transport, agriculture, name it. So cooperatives today impact on the livelihoods of Kenyans, either indirectly or directly, to the tune of more than 2/3 of the population of Kenya.
Yes. I want to bring in Dolphin at this point. You are in charge of the cooperative movement here in Nairobi County, this being the sort of place where a lot of these are concentrated, especially being the nerve center of the economy.
Yes.
And do you think that these have been able to achieve the roles that the PS has set out, especially in view of the fact that we are in a free market economy? Have they been able to enable the members come and participate in this economy at an advantageous level compared to everyone else?
I would say yes, for one reason. If you look at the cooperatives in Kenya, we have various types of cooperatives.
Yes.
In Nairobi specifically, a lot are SACCOs, the so-called savings and credit.
Yes.
The transport cooperatives are so vibrant. The matatu cooperative sector, you realize at some point there was a lot of confusion.
Yes.
We have now mobilized them into cooperatives, the so-called SACCOs. And they're able to mobilize savings. And they're able to get loans at very reasonable interest rates. If you go along Mombasa Road to Kitengela and throughout the country, housing cooperatives have assisted members to acquire shelter. Because what happens, they benefit from economies of scale. When you buy this land in bulk, it becomes cheaper. So they subdivide and they're able to bring up houses for them. And in our training sessions, we normally encourage them, other than mobilizing the savings, they also need to make good use of the loans that they take. The bottom line is, at one point or the other, the people who are employed will at some point retire. So what is the point of retiring? To go home to the village? You can still take care of yourself here.
Yes.
But if you have shelter, somebody is not knocking on your door every month to pay rent, then I think you're good to go. So I would say we have done so much as a cooperative sector. You mentioned the long title, it's Ministry of Industry, Trade and Cooperatives,
yes.
and we are a State Department of Cooperatives. So there's a lot of vibrancy.
Yes.
Nairobi alone has mobilized over 200 billion. The PS talked about the national statistics,
yes.
where we have mobilized savings to the tune of 600 billion, total assets to the tune of 800 billion. Nairobi takes the bigger pie. A third of it comes from Nairobi.
Yes.
Nairobi is where you have most of the giant cooperatives. We call them giant cooperatives. The Arambe, the Kenya Police, most of them are domiciled there. And so the savings culture that we have inculcated in these people have done a good job. Yeah.
Let's bring the PS again, and the fact that, as you said, we have this long history with the cooperatives, but they continue to drive us in the modern age. What is the role of technology in bringing this into the future, especially knowing that we now have this group called millennials who are trying to come into the same fold, but in a totally different way?
Yes. Thank you, Peter. Of course, I think we're in the technology age.
Yes.
And really, the future is really about technology. I think cooperatives have not been left behind, and cooperatives have started to embrace technology. If not for anything else, really in order to be able to give efficient and effective service to their members.
Yes.
And in this respect, you will realize that a lot of the cooperatives, particularly the financial cooperatives, the big SACCOs,
yes.
Especially those that are regulated under the SACCO Societies Regulatory Authority, SASRA, a lot of which have actually FOSA, front office savings activity, which is more like a bank.
Yes.
They're actually on a technology platform, which is online real time, because members can come in, deposit their money, withdraw their money. And even a lot of the ones that have back office savings activity, they have also embraced technology. So the movement has not been left behind. But of course, as you know, technology is capital intensive.
Yes.
And not all cooperatives, because of their size, are able to actually immediately invest. But it's something that those who have not actually done so are looking at. But the more other important reason, as you have rightly said, is that if you look at this country now, nearly 65% of the population are people who are 35 and below.
Yes.
The younger people, the ones that you have referred to as the millennials. And that means that the traditional forms or modes of actually providing service to them, as the cooperatives used to do in the yesteryears, will not do. Because these are people who transact everything around their life, around this little gadget called the mobile.
Yes.
And so then cooperatives, therefore, are looking for opportunities using, mobile applications, other technological applications to try and see how we can actually bring young people. Because if you talk about the sustainability of the cooperative movement, and you talk about tomorrow, you're actually talking about the young people in this country. They are the members today, tomorrow's leaders in that sector, and even tomorrow's customers or members of that movement. And therefore, technology is critical not only for service delivery, for efficiency and effectiveness, but for the future sustainability of the cooperative movement.
Yes. I want to bring you back in, Dolphin, with the question on consumer education and how this plays a role in recruiting new members. As the SACCOs continue to, drive this economy, so to say, they need fresh blood. And the fact that people keep, as you said, retiring, getting out and going to other things, what is the place of teaching people the benefits of SACCOs in driving membership and ensuring that we keep driving this thing forward?
Okay, thank you very much, Peter. You realize that every year we also do elections.
Yes.
Where 1/3 retires. And we encourage the youth, because we also have youth cooperatives. We encourage the youth to also take up these positions. Of course, they are competitive positions. But one of the principles of cooperatives is education, training, and information. And so every year we organize those education forums, even at the sub-county levels, so that people are enlightened on the importance of not just joining a cooperative, making the cooperatives impact positively on the livelihoods of these people. So it's a continuous process. During the time of registration, we have an activity called pre-cooperative education, where we enlightened the proposed members on the importance of joining the cooperative, so that when they get to the cooperative, they not look at it like something that they are forced into. Because most of the employer-based cooperatives, you are employed into an organization and you are expected to join. At that point, some people think it's a mandatory thing. But later, the way we give them education, they realize that this is something that assists them individually. In fact, now we even encourage them to save, not just for loans, but also for retirement. And we have also advised them to open up their common bonds. Initially, we used to say if you're employed by a particular organization, then the membership has to be drawn from there. We have since advised them to open their common bond, which requires the amendment of their bylaws, so that they can even bring in their spouses, they can bring in their children, because we want continuity into the organization. Yes.
Bonapius, I want to finish with you with a simple question. International linkages. The rest of the world has cooperatives also driving them at various levels. What is the place for partnerships across borders in ensuring that we as Kenyans continue to enjoy the full benefits of the movement?
Okay. Thank you very much. First of all, let me say that Kenya, having started very early on the cooperative model, we have been lucky, as I said earlier, to actually have made a lot of progress. As a consequence, Kenya actually has been a beacon in terms of learning best practice for the Africa continent. And in that respect, we have been instrumental in actually starting up or helping a number of African countries to start their cooperative business model. And right now, as I talk to you, we are implementing an MOU with the government of Namibia, or Republic of Namibia, who are actually setting up, since independence, their first public servants cooperative society, the equivalent of our Harambee, Harambee Sacco. We have worked with Rwanda, Rwanda, and in fact, not only did we work with them, we even gave them seed cows for their dairy sector. Today, that dairy cooperatives in Rwanda is actually a thriving cooperative movement. We have also worked with Sudan, Southern Sudan, being a nascent country. We have 2 of our officers there. They have been there for the last, 3 years. We have now renewed their stay there again, and they're actually helping this Republic of Southern Sudan to actually set up their cooperative movement. We have worked with Botswana, and we are working with, countries like Zambia, Malawi, and they come. So every other time we have a delegation that comes to benchmark with us and to learn. Of course, we also learn something from them in the process. But that is at the continental level. But let me also talk about the international level. At the international level, we have a lot of partnerships with some of the leading cooperative, which are giants actually compared to ours. in countries like Canada, the U.S., countries like France,
yes,
Belgium, Germany. And Kenya is actually a member of the World Council of Credit Unions.
Yes.
Kenya, we sit in the board, the only African country that sits in the board. And the gentleman who sits in that board is the MD of Cusco, which is the umbrella body for the SACCO, Mr. George Ototo. Kenya is also a member of the global regulatory body for SACCOs,
yes,
or what's called credit union in the Western world, like the US and America. And the MD, the CEO of SASRA,
yes,
sits in that board. We're also a member of the continental body,
yes,
ACOSCA, Africa Confederation of Savings and Credit Cooperatives, which is actually hosted in Nairobi regionally, yes, for Africa. And we have a Kenyan who is also the CEO of the continental body.
Okay.
So we have partners, partnerships and collaborations across the continent and beyond the continent.
Yes, indeed, we have to cut it short right there because we are out of time, but it is an interesting discussion and one that we will definitely continue to take up come Saturday because the cooperative movement literally carries every Kenyan along. But to say thank you for both of you to
allow me to say a
in.
parting shot, please.
Maybe very quickly. Because
yes, I would like to invite all the cooperators in this country to come to Huru Park on Saturday. We'll have, yes, a procession from 7:30 from Okulema Market to Huru Grounds.
Yes.
We have to show cause on what we have done as a cooperative movement. So please come with your families, come in good numbers.
Yes.
And our president,
yes,
His Excellency, will be the chief guest.
Okay.
So we are privileged and honored to have the president as the guest.
Okay.
Please come in good numbers.
Yes.
Thank
Indeed, well, as I was saying, thank you very much for taking the time to come in. And just remind our viewers, of course, that the chief guest of that event will be the president. So, of course, do take the time to turn out in large numbers. We now want to proceed on a short commercial break, but on the other side of that break, of course, we will be coming at you with several more discussions on, well, various insights on KTN Business Today. But before we go, to remind you of our Twitter poll question. And today we are asking you, do you think Kenya has overreached itself, well, in the early oil export scheme? Do reach out to us. The hashtag is Business Today. Reach out to me directly on @Peter Akabaos to the Twitter handle @KTN News. Again, do you think government was overambitious with